Joe Biden has never been the most fluid speaker. And by the way, as someone who had a stutter growing up, it's very obvious to me that there's an apostrophe at the end of supporters there. He was referring to the garbage spewed by supporters, not simply the supporters themselves.
Yes, Franklin Leonard on CNN. He's a genius when it comes to being a lion, Sacagawea. Just a minute. And somebody, he grew up with a stutter. I don't even believe that. And as someone who grew up with a stutter, it's obvious to him that there was an apostrophe on that. And if that makes sense, you shouldn't be allowed to vote because you'd be too stupid to vote. Just amazing. Elon Musk, he's got a Twitter account, as you might expect. And he tweeted, which he hasn't banned himself, so he can still tweet. But Elon Musk, he tweeted something, and it's got the left very, very upset. Boy, are they upset. Today is the 31st. On the 29th, the day before yesterday, Elon Musk tweeted, "If you're aware of any election integrity issues, please report them to the X election integrity community." They've got a community. It's not even a gated community. There are cul-de-sacs and nice trees. Very nice. Everything's a community. They love that the word community is overused to death these days, usually by the left, but this online stuff too. So Elon Musk says, if you're aware of any election integrity issues, please report them to the election integrity unit. And there are people reporting stuff and taking pictures. And the left and CNN very angry about this. He must be stopped. And I promise you, his life is in danger. And he better have, again, presidential level security because the left is a bloodthirsty and violent lot. And you got to take it seriously. Elon Musk, he's a threat to them. He bought Twitter. When Jack Dorsey owned Twitter, Twitter was manipulated and the FBI was in there. And then Jack Dorsey, after the election, he's like, I'll sell this and get the hell out of here and you'll never hear from me again. And we haven't heard from him for like 4 years, right? We haven't heard from him. He just disappeared with, what did he get, $47 billion or something like that. And boy, did he disappear. And why doesn't somebody interview him? Huh? We should invite him to come on the show. He'd be welcome on the show. I'd like to talk to him about what he experienced when the fascists, or are they the communists, came for him and said, listen, don't allow people to share this Hunter Biden laptop story because it's bad for the left. It's bad for the Democrat Party. And don't you know who we are? Amazing stuff. Also, did you see Joe Biden yesterday? Went almost cannibal. He went almost full cannibal. Joe Biden claimed that his uncle, what was his uncle's name? His uncle had a funny name. Uncle Bunky? Oh, yeah, Bozy. Uncle Bozy. Probably Boozy. It was probably Boozy, but Joe Biden forgot. Uncle Bozy was a pilot or aboard an air crew. He's an air crew member in World War II. And Joe Biden said that his Uncle Bozy was almost eaten by cannibals, right, on the island of New Guinea, Papua New Guinea.
We called him Uncle Bozy. He was shot down. He was an Army Air Corps before there was an Air Force. He flew single-engine planes, reconnaissance flights over New Guinea. He had volunteered because someone couldn't make it. He got shot down in an area where there were a lot of cannibals in New Guinea at the time. They never recovered his body, but the government went back when I went down there and they checked and found some parts of the plane and the like.
You're going to be eaten by cannibals. The story was totally debunked. It's just completely false. Everything about it was wrong. And he's an embarrassment to Western civilization, to bipedal mammals. The guy is just a disgrace. But if you didn't see it yesterday at the White House, they had Halloween. But yesterday wasn't Halloween. Why did they have Halloween yesterday, Michael? Why? Honestly. Jasmine, why did they have Halloween yesterday at the White House? Did Satan tell them to have it yesterday? What do you think? Could be, maybe. I can't say for sure. But here's the headline from Newsweek, no less. Joe Biden bites several babies at Halloween event.
We got to start eating babies.
We got to start eating babies because there are too many babies, and the Democrats are taking care of that. They are.
We need to eat the babies.
The meat is very, as I understand it, I haven't personally, but very, very tender. Very tender stuff. Joe Biden bites several babies at Halloween event. Flynn Nichols, U.S. News reporter at Newsweek magazine. Videos of President Joe Biden playfully biting several costumed babies at the White House Halloween party have gone viral on social media. Gee, I wonder why. The Halloween event transformed the White House's South Lawn into a lively setting with decorations and activities for families, local students, and children of military families. Why didn't they do it on Halloween? They're going to have, like, Christmas on the 23rd. What are they? While Jill Biden, why didn't you call her Dr. Jill Biden, wearing a full-body panda suit, handed out copies of the children's book, 10 Spooky Pumpkins. President Biden greeted a line of children and parents and distributed candy in signature White House wrappers. Photographers and videographers captured moments of Biden bending down to interact with children, playfully biting the leg of a baby dressed as a turkey. Isn't he supposed to pardon the turkey or something, not eat it? The president also put the toe of a child in an ice cream cone costume into his mouth and nibbled at a third baby wearing a blue dress. So you got that. And if you've seen the pictures, the boy is a total freak show. This man is demented. There is something terribly, terribly wrong with him. He is not normal. And the news media, they say, oh, look, it's so playful. He's not a freak show. He's not a complete weirdo. He's just being playful. Sure he is. Isn't that great? Man, oh, man, oh, man. All right, we've got to get back to President Trump, too. We've got so much to talk about. Yeah, but the news media, CNN and the rest, very angry because, now again, Elon Musk says, if you're aware to the American people of any election integrity issues, please report them next. CNN should be doing that. But instead, they're attacking people that are doing that. What does that tell you about CNN? What does that tell you about our news media? I think everything you need to know in a nutshell. How did they get into this fantastic nutshell? Isn't that amazing? All right, let's get back to because, and I'm looking at Lawrence O'Donnell too, who's a total mental case. These people are just nuts. Now, actually, let's do that just to get us going, because Lawrence O'Donnell, who self-describes as a socialist and has his own show on MSDNC, the Soviet Union, the USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, they were socialist. They murdered tens of millions of people. They starved Ukrainians to death, stole all their food by the millions, but never mind that. Lawrence O'Donnell, he's a proud socialist, and those are the words that he used, proud socialist. I'm not, one of these namby-pamby liberals.
Unlike you, I am not a progressive. I am not a liberal who's so afraid of the word that I had to change my name to progressive.
I'm not either.
Liberals amuse me. I am a socialist.
There you go. And then they all laughed and thought it was wonderful. Lawrence O'Donnell yesterday on the TV defending Joe Biden calling half of America garbage.
The very same news media that ignored all the times Donald Trump has called American citizens and American voters scum and garbage.
What?
Actually tried to
happened.
turn Joe Biden's use of the word garbage into a controversial news story today. And to do so, they had to refuse to listen to the actual sentence Joe Biden spoke. They had to refuse to look at the written words of that sentence.
From the White House transcript that was released where they put an apostrophe on to say, oh, no, because they changed it, and now Congress is investigating them corruptly changing the White House transcript, but never mind that.
They had to refuse to understand English grammar. They had to refuse to understand what a singular possessive is. They had to refuse to understand what apostrophe S means. They had to refuse to remember what they learned in elementary school about the English language.
Well, most didn't learn anything about the English language in elementary school or any place else for that matter, the singular possessive. and he called people scum. He did call the press in the back of the crowd last night scum. He said, well, they got the scum back there. Kind of said it cheerfully. He never called anybody garbage. He did say that the Democrat Party is treating and the rest of the world, treating our country like a garbage dump right now, dumping all of their criminals and so on inside of our borders because the Democrat Party. But that's what the socialists are saying in the media. Now let's get back to President Trump. So much news, so little time. We're at number 3, numero tres, as the Democrats say around DNC headquarters. President Trump last night in Green Bay, Wisconsin, wearing his trash collector's vest, arriving kind of in a garbage truck with Trump 2024 on the side of the garbage truck because Joe Biden called us all garbage.
Joe Biden's comments were the direct result of Kamala's decision to portray everyone who isn't voting for her, which is a lot of people, as evil and subhuman. And we know it's really what they believe because look at how they've treated you. They treat you like garbage. They treat our whole country like garbage with open borders, with all of the horrible things they've done to hurt our country, inflation that should have never happened, allowing Russia to go into Ukraine, October 7th, in Israel. All of these things would have never happened if you had a different president.
And the crowd went wild, and he's wearing the garbage vest, and he did a funny joke about the garbage vest. That's coming up, too. President Trump, calling us garbage, calling us fascists, calling us Nazis, calling us all these ridiculous names. You had, in the old days, you might get a pop in the nose for that kind of talk.
My response to Joe and Kamala is very simple. You can't lead America if you don't love Americans. That's true.
That's true. I'll take that because it's true, and the crowd goes wild.
For the past 9 years, Kamala and her party have called us racists, bigots, fascists, deplorables, irredeemables, Nazis, and they called me Hitler. They bullied you. They've demonized us. They've censored us. They've deplatformed us. And they weaponized the power of our own government against all of us. They've taken your money. They've thrown open your borders to criminals and terrorists. They've flooded your towns with deadly drugs and death. They're incompetent people. They've given your jobs to illegal migrants and sent our blood and treasure to fight in stupid foreign wars where the countries don't even know who we are and where we've never heard of the country.
But the Democrat Party is the party of the military-industrial complex and of war, only if you count the Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and Bill Clinton's Justice Department building barriers that led to September 11th happening, so ushering in the age of permanent war against radical Islam. President Trump in Green Bay.
This Tuesday is your chance to stand up and declare you are not going to take it anymore.
We're not gonna take it.
6 days from now, we can turn the page forever on this failed and corrupt administration. It's a corrupt administration, you do know that. We can declare once and for all that we are done with their hatred. We're done with their hysteria. We're done with their hoaxing, lying, cheating, scheming, plundering, and stealing. Oh, they steal. They steal.
Well, they've looted my neighborhood again and again, I'll tell you that much. No joke. America's strength isn't just built, it's also worn. For those who put in the hours to get things done in the United States, G-Defy shoes are made right, and they're made right for you. With patented VersaShock technology, G-Defy shoes, they don't just talk comfort, they engineer comfort. With every step you take, G-Defy shoes help to absorb harmful shock on your feet, your arches, and provide trampoline-like energy return. Listen, my best girl and I, we've got G-Defy shoes, hiked around the city, and when you're done hiking around, your feet feel better than they did before you started. Designed for hard-working people, for parents, for people that stand tall no matter what. All you have to do is go to Getify.com, Getify.com, and use the code Chris, just Chris, for $20 off your order of $100 or more. That's the code Chris, traditional spelling, for $20 off your order of $100 or more. Because even champions need to rest. Go to Getify.com today. Yes, sir. More President Trump coming up, and then our crazy, crazy media. What's the matter with those people? Something terribly. Oh, yeah, they're lefties. That's it. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. All right, we're going to get back to President Trump and crazy media hijinks. But first, let's go to the telephones. Let's talk to Robert calling from Herndon, Virginia. Robert, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Chris, how have you been?
I couldn't be better, buddy. What do you know?
Well, there's a couple of questions that you had asked. You periodically ask what's wrong with these people, and I can answer that question.
All right.
It took me a while. Einstein once said something along the lines of, "If you want to get the right answer, you have to start with the right question." And it took me a while to find the right question. This is a guy I went to prep school with, one of the smartest people I've ever met. I've read his social media posts. And my first reaction was, this is one of the stupidest people I've ever met. Now, how could that be? Well, then I noticed that when it was normal stuff he was talking about, and within his own personal academic wheelhouse, everything was fine. But as soon as he was, and it was clear those posts were written by an intelligent adult. But when it was something that to which he had a negative emotional reaction, like talking about Trump and Nazis and all this kind of stuff, now it was clear that these posts were written by a petulant, unruly 9-year-old trying and failing to adequately process adult topics. So, and I said, okay, now how much farther does this go? And then I realized the other pieces of the puzzle I got from things I heard from Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and Jordan Peterson. And I'd already knew these things. I learned them when I was while at university. And the
clock is ticking on you. The clock's ticking. I think you have more to say. I think you should go ahead, but I might have to ask you to hang on so you can finish your thoughts.
Yeah, I'll hang on. This will take about a minute or so, but you'll love it.
Okay, very good, because I've been looking for the answer to that question, what's wrong with these people? And if you have the answer, I think everyone wants to know the answer to the question, what's wrong with these people? All right, let us get back to President Trump in Green Bay yesterday with the garbage man's vest on, arriving in a garbage truck with the Trump campaign logo on the side of the truck, and it was really something. And he was in rare form yesterday. He really was. We were watching, my best girl and I were watching, and we were laughing and having a good time, talking about stuff. And honestly, talking about how great our garbage men are, and without trash removal, your country becomes Haiti. Before you know it, you got barbecue, the cannibal, out in your front yard, and you don't want that. President Trump, Green Bay, Wisconsin, with the garbage man's vest on.
This outfit, is when he called us all garbage. How stupid. What a stupid word. That blows deplorable away, don't you think? I'm in this beautiful plane. I'm enjoying myself, have a wonderful suit on. And one of my people came in and said, "Sir, the word garbage is the hottest thing right now out there. The hottest thing out there. Sir, would you like to drive a garbage truck?"
Would you like to drive? It comes up and they say, "Hey, would you like to drive a garbage truck?" And he's wearing his vest. He's saying, "I got this beautiful suit on. I got this beautiful," and said, How'd you like to, President Trump?
And then they said, Sir, we have a vest. I said, well, should I leave my suit on and put it over the vest? But that doesn't look very good, right? And I come into the arena. I say, get me my jacket. But if you did, you know, it actually makes you look thinner. I said, ooh. And they got me. I said, I want to wear it on stage. When they said I look thinner, I said, in that case, I'll wear it on stage. I may never wear a blue jacket again. I may go in this. I said that was the word, that was the key. Sir, you look thinner.
It makes you look thinner. And it's like, well, you know, it makes me look thinner. And he's posing, he's doing physical comedy because he's naturally funny, unlike any Democrat left in the United States of America. Pretty amazing stuff. President Trump with the garbage collector's vest on, arriving in a garbage truck.
I want to thank all of our incredible sanitation workers all across America. Because they work hard, they really do work hard. And they do an incredible job, and they don't get the credit they deserve, like our police, like our firefighters.
Like our police, like our firefighters. Listen, I'm trying to get as much Trump in here as I can, and I rudely have left my apologies. Robert hanging on the line, who is mid-story, and he's about to give us the answer to the age-old question, what in the name of God is the matter with these people? And Robert, thank you for hanging in there.
Chris, yeah, I promise you, it will not take you very long for it to click in your mind that I've hit the nail right on the head. You got to understand the difference between the functioning of the juvenile human brain and the adult human brain. This is what's going on here. Clinical psychologists testing people, attaching electrodes to people's heads, and then children and adults, and then giving them various tasks to perform and decisions to make, and then checking to see where the predominant amount of electrical activity is firing in the brain. What part of their brain are they using to do tasks and make decisions? And in the adults, it's the frontal cortex, the thoughtful, logical frontal cortex. But in the child, the advanced frontal cortex. But in the child, in the juvenile, and they even tested children later on as adults to see the progression. And in the child brain, it's the amygdala, the lizard brain, the primitive part of the brain, the emotional reactive amygdala, in which they're doing all their thinking. And then later on as adults, they switch over. And our founding fathers had some sense of this, because they put in the Constitution, you're not allowed to be president unless you're over 35. And you start moving from the juvenile human brain to the adult around age 9 or 10, but you don't get there until about 29 or 30. So I like to look at that in the Constitution. That they put that in as the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez law to make sure she couldn't get in.
That is great. I got to tell you, Robert, I've been saying for years they have the brains of children. I've been saying that for years. I honestly have. Not to poach your wonderful thinking here, because I think it's great, and I love the child brains, the baby brains, and your social media. Your friend who's very smart, you discovered it was the 9-year-old, and like, oh, well, that explains everything. And then you extrapolate from that we've got an entire political movement and party, the Democrat Party, apparently still operating with brains that are not fully developed, right?
Well, yeah, it's pretty close. You're going to love the final conclusion here. What you have here is you have another spectrum. I've got another spectrum for you. Different people are different. Different people mature at different rates. Different people mature to different endpoints. Not everyone matures from full use of amygdala all the way up to full use of the frontal cortex. Now, if you divide that right in the middle to see, the bottom half, they're still largely doing the amygdala, and in the second, in the bottom half, those people are more likely to be responsive to the Democrats because the Democrats deal with emotions and strong emotions. Look at all the riots in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Emotional reaction. They react emotionally instead of thinking out things and what their next thing is going to be. So what you have here is if this guy is dealing with something within his personal academic wheelhouse and something he's comfortable with, he's been trained by professors to think this way. He's a sociology professor at one of the Poison Ivy League schools.
Uh-huh.
So he's a really bright guy. But when he's dealing with something that he's comfortable with, and he's been trained to see how other people think and how adults think, and he does that. But when he's dealing with a situation to which he has a negative emotional response, now he has the age of an adult, the knowledge of an adult, the experience of an adult, the education of an adult. But since he's dealing with something to which he has a negative emotional response, he's now processing everything through the brain of a 9-year-old.
Well,
and that's where the problem lies. And these people are members of a distinct and clearly intellectually inferior subspecies of Homo sapiens. Not only should they be prohibited by law from voting in general elections, they shouldn't be allowed to drive cars or own property.
I love it. I love that you've given this a good deal of thought and that you've examined the properties of the brain at play here. And well, look, we've been talking. I've been boil it down so I can put it in a thimble. But I've been saying for years they have the brains of children, right? And we all know that they respond emotionally to everything, and not rationally or intellectually, but emotionally to everything. And it's their gut, and their gut generally not very good. Going back, you mentioned the riots of 2020 and St. George Floyd, Georgia fentanyl, and all that stuff, but I trace a lot of this back to Occupy Wall Street when they were recruiting. And I said at the time, this is just the recruiting phase for the left, and they're putting together their social media groups and their Facebook pages and their Twitter groups that they can then figure out who's truly fanatical, who's violent, and then they will group them together because the left is very organized that way. And I love to play a piece of audio from this radical left-wing extremist college professor, Francis Fox Piven, with a gang of young people whose brains are not fully formed, who are sleeping in their own feces on the sidewalks of New York during the Occupy Wall Street movement.
You are amazing. You are amazing. A lot of you are young. A lot of you are young. You have energy. You have energy. Imagination.
Now, that little chant proves that they don't have imagination, that they're not amazing, that but they're recruiting like it's a cult, and they're using the undeveloped brains. They know, they took over our college campuses years ago, the left, and they've been manipulating generations into their worldview, to their way of life, and that's why we have so many riots and the violence. And then, oh no, January 6th, it's the first riot we've ever seen. And the news media, I think members of the news media don't seem to have a lot of fully developed brains either.
Yeah, now there's another thing. That's another question that you ask periodically that I have an answer to, and the 2020 riots come right into it. That question you ask is, how do you solve a problem like Kamala?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is those 2020 riots, every single one of them was by definition an insurrection. The January 6th, a bunch of smiling grannies taking selfies being waved in by equally smiling Capitol Police, and there are one or two violent rioters running around in there, a number of which I've seen pictures of them. And I've also seen wearing MAGA outfits and also pictures of them in their natural garb working for Antifa and BLM. I know false flag operation when I see one. January 6th was not an insurrection, not even close. There's an article by Glenn Greenwald. I could send you the link to it.
A good thinking journalist, and a self-described liberal and Democrat, but a serious person. He's the way that Democrats and liberals often used to be, a thinking person, an intelligent person.
He's an example of a Democrat who is an adult, a full adult.
Yeah, that's right.
They're rare, but they exist.
That's right.
Now, every one of those riots in 2020 were insurrections. And Kamala Harris bailed out how many hundreds of these people so they could go forth and insurrect some more? She needs to be immediately impeached, never to hold public office again.
I made the argument at the same time. I whipped out the definition of the word insurrection, and I explained that every attack on a police station, on a police car, on a courthouse in Portland, Oregon, the Mark Hatfield courthouse, all of those are insurrections by definition. But we, honestly, in the end, it's the news media. And then the FBI is corrupted. The left has corrupted almost everything. And they want to legalize pot because it'll keep everybody just, a little bit slower, a little bit dumber, and a little bit less likely to start speaking the truth. Listen, Robert, fun call, lots of stuff. I'm glad that you're a thinking person. I like thinking people. I think it's fun when people think and when honest people think. Now, I've got so much to get to. I want to get back to, thank you, Robert. I want to get back to some President Trump from Green Bay, Wisconsin yesterday. Again, with the waste management collection. That's a company, actually. But, garbage man's vest and arriving in a garbage truck because Joe Biden called us all garbage.
We're not going to let them divide and destroy America any longer. What we have built is the biggest, broadest, most incredible coalition and the greatest political movement in the history of our country.
Now, the rally was great. Trump was great. The garbage truck was great. It was epic. It was historic, classic, vintage Trump and classic vintage politics. His political sensibilities sometimes are the most amazing political sensibilities in the world. And then sometimes they're not. But yesterday, boy, he was on his game big time. Frank Luntz is a Democrat pollster, political advisor, consultant. He was on CNN, and he was asked about this Biden calling everybody garbage comment.
The basket of deplorables was significant, was meaningful in 2016. In 2024, I can promise you that this is going to drive Trump turnout. He's doing it already. I'm sure there's going to be ads on as soon as tonight about this. This may be a turning point for those final 3%, and that's all it is.
And that's all it is, a turning point, a huge deal, a big political moment. Frank Luntz, and when Frank Luntz is telling you that this is it's bigger than the deplorables, and it's going to turn, and it's everything's on a razor's edge, of course, in every state. Oh, it's there's a 0.9% advantage for Kamala Harris, but don't take anything to the bank because the left manipulates everything, not just the media, but they're waging war against Elon Musk. And they've got these radicals in Philadelphia, George Soros prosecutors that are threatening Elon Musk for setting up sweepstakes where you can win $1 million, and he's giving away $1 million here and $1 million there. He should try to arrest Oprah, I think, for doing the same thing. We live in very peculiar times and, honestly, very dangerous times as well. I'm looking forward to a Trump victory on Tuesday, announced before we all go to bed.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Kamala and her party have called us racists, bigots, fascists, deplorables, irredeemables, Nazis, and they called me Hitler.
Ah, yes. And then they looted my neighborhood again. Yeah, we were talking about Frank Luntz and played a Frank Luntz soundbite. I called him a Democrat, and people are saying, no, he's a Republican pollster. Well, I got to tell you, he's such a Republican that he has said publicly that he suffered strokes. And he said that the reason he had strokes, he says, is because he didn't speak out forcefully enough against President Trump. That's why he said he had strokes, because he didn't speak out forcefully enough against Donald Trump. And because he didn't, he had strokes. I think he gets his Republican card pulled at that point. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Matt calling from Sandusky, Ohio. Matthew, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Chris, thank you for taking my call. Can I call you Elvis, though? Because you are the king of talk radio right now, in my opinion.
Well, you're correct. You may call me Elvis if you wish. Yes, sir.
Well, I thank you. I'm amazed that Kamala now kind of sounds almost like Mitt Romney. I don't know who's feeding her recent talking points, but she's gotten very moderate in a lot of her positions, and it kind of is very interesting to me. Whoever's at the top pulling the strings and feeding information to her, they're, in my opinion, very smart and very evil. I understand they might work their 9-year-old brain to death, but I don't trust them I don't trust them at all. I agree with you. I'm expecting them to call the race before Ed hits the pillow election night. It'll be so overwhelming, but I don't trust him because he has to make it through January too. And These people are so evil.
Yeah.
The left often sacrifices people to meet their ends, to get to their goals. I don't trust them at all. I'm scared.
Well, I think you're right. I think your concern is not misplaced at all. I think the toughest job in the world right now is being the head of Donald Trump's security detail. And I think, now they're threatening Elon Musk, and they're threatening him like the left always does with prison out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for giving away money. But George Soros is fine. I believe that we're in a very dangerous period right now, not just politically, but beyond, and certainly politically. And you're right about their evil. And the left, they sacrifice, that is to say, they kill, murder, sacrifice people all over the world all the time to meet their political ends, their goals. You're not wrong about any of that. But if you haven't voted yet,